Welcome everyone, I'm Teacher Lisa, your ESL video instructor. In today's video, we're going to do a couple exercises from the book Everyday English. We're in Unit 3, so let's do exercise 3.4. We are going to match the definitions to the collocations. So remember what a collocation is. Collocations are a preferred way that a native likes to express things. It's about word choice. You can say something in English that is not grammatically incorrect, but it's not the preferred way that a native would say something. So that's a collocations. One of the examples that I usually give is if I ask you, do you like strong coffee? You might say, yes, Lisa, I like strong coffee. We usually don't say hard coffee or heavy coffee. We say strong coffee. And then the opposite would be weak coffee. So we like the word coffee and strong together, or weak and coffee together. That's a collocation. Let's match some collocations that you may or may not have heard of. And the point of this exercise is just to help you to see there are words that we just like together. There's no grammar rule. You can learn this through conversation, through reading what words we prefer together. So we have the first one that is done for us, a subject on which people hold different views. So it's a matter of opinion. That's what we like together, a matter of opinion. Let's look at the first one, number 1, completely opposed. What's completely opposed? Poles apart, poles apart. Sometimes we use the phrase polar opposites or poles apart. Number 2, an opinion held by a lot of people. So what is that? That's a popular belief, a popular belief. So we like those words, popular belief, together. Number 3, people hold differing points of view, different viewpoints. So we say their opinions are divided, opinions are divided. And number 4, to hold a strong opinion that something is true, firmly believe something. So this is an example of some collocations. Remember, you can always pause the video before we complete the exercises, and then you can do them with me. So let's move on to our next piece that we're going to do. So here we're going to continue with exercise 3.7. What you have to do is cross out the incorrect word in each sentence. So we have the first example, happens to have my name. Lisa received an email from her friend this morning. So why is that correct? So the action is completed. We just need simple past tense, that it's something that I received and it's over. And this morning, so it's one particular morning. So we say this morning, not every morning. So that's why that is correct. Let's look at the next one. Number 1, Lisa was going, or Lisa went to Thailand 25 years since or ago. So let's look at the answers here. Remember, is it a completed action? Yes, Lisa went to Thailand. It's over and done with, and it was 25 years ago. So we don't use since. We use since when it's a specific date, since November 2014, but we use ago when we're talking about a period of time or how long, how many years. We use ago, not since. Let's look at the next one, number 2. Bill had taught, or Bill was teaching when Lisa arrived in Thailand. So what's happening here? Well, Bill was teaching. So we have that ing because something was happening continuously, and then what happened, and then Lisa arrived. So he was teaching, and then he was interrupted by Lisa arriving. So one thing is continuously happening while something else has happened. Okay, because it's not a completed action, right? One thing was happening, and then something else also happening. 3, Lisa and Bill were getting married or got married 23 years ago on or in March. So is it a completed action? Yes, Lisa and Bill got married. It's over. You get married and it's done. And then do we use on or in for months? This is often confusion. We use in when we talk about months. So in March. So you do something in a month, it's never on, but it is in. If it's a specific date, then you'll say on. If it said on March 1st, 2012, we can use on, but for just the month, you always use the preposition in. Number 4, Lisa had been traveling, or Lisa has traveled for 25 years before she returned. So here we have had been traveling is correct because we have one action happened in the past, right? Completed in the past. Then something else happened because we have this word before she returned. So something happened in the past, was going on in the past, and then something else happened. So one thing happened before another. Okay, so we have to say had been traveling. Now, if we chose has traveled, which isn't correct, whenever we have has or have and the past participle in ed, that means something happened in the past and continue to present or still affecting us presently. So that's not the case here. So something happened in the past and finished in the past, and then something else happened, right? As we have the word before. That's why we have had been traveling. Next one, Barbara has graduated or graduated from college previous month or last month. So is it a completed action? Yes, it's done, it's over. She graduated from college, so it's just the past tense. And then it was last month. We use last month. You can sometimes use previous months, but in this case, from college just last month. If we want to use previous, we would need the from college the previous month. So there's no the here, so we just say from college last month. That's it. So because of the grammar, we're going to use last month. So I can do a more extensive talk about tenses, but here's just to get you a little familiar with talking about our life experiences. Let's move down to the tip. And 3.8, interesting tip. We use when for completed actions and we use while for continuous actions. So that's all you need to know. If it's completed, we use when. If it's continuous, it's still going on, then we use while. So again, pause the video if you'd like to do the exercise along with me. So the instructions use when and while to describe the events on the timeline, speaking out loud. So let's look at the timeline here. So we were studying full time, we moved to China. We were living in China, we got married, we had a baby. Then we were studying part-time, we wrote our thesis, and then we started a small business. So that's the whole timeline. So remember, we have to use when or while when we make the sentence. Let's look at the first example. I moved to China while I was studying full-time. So why did we use while? Let's go back to our tip. We use while for continuous actions. So they were in China, moved to China, and they were studying full-time. So it's not a completed action, it was ongoing. Let's look at the first question. So I got married, and we look at the timeline, and I'm just going to type it in here for us, and you can pause the video if you're writing it down on the paper or following along in your copy of the book. So let's look at the timeline. I got married while I was living in China. So is that true? Yes. So if we look at the timeline, we were married while we were living there. Again, continuous. Okay. Let's look at number 2. I was and then had a baby. So let's look at the timeline. When did we have that baby? And let me put that in there. You can pause the video. When I was living in China, when I had a baby. So it's a completed action. Right? You had a baby, it's over. So we use when. Number 3, I wrote my thesis. Let's look at the timeline. While I was studying part-time. Okay, again, it's not a completed action, it's continuous. And our last one, I started a business. So we look at the end of that timeline, we see what's happening there. I was studying part-time when I started a business. So again, if we go back to the tip, we know that we use while when it's a continuous action, and we use when it's a completed action. So that's all you have to do to know whether to use one or two of these. Okay, so here's our checklist. So we worked with collocations on a previous video that I made. Also, we worked with collocations, how to express beliefs and opinions, and talking about your life. You have to consider whether to use while or when, and what tense we might want to be in, whether it's continuous or completed. So let's move on to number 4 in our next video, complex descriptions.